All right, welcome to today's session. Today I have a very important person. As you can see already, she's looking so good and she's smiling. So I'm not going to do all the introduction. This person that I have on today's call is you. In fact, you let me allow her to introduce herself. Indidi, over to you.
Okay, my name is Ndidi Nyakora. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm an engineer and data scientist by training, with a background in electrical and communications engineering. I'm also do PhD focused on intelligent systems. So my work sits at the intersection of AI, data, and real world problem solving. And my work history, I've worked in both research and industry, including roles at Apple, Intel Corporation, here where I learned how to build systems that operate at scale and also impact millions of users. Beyond the technical side, I'm also deeply passionate about community and education. I'm involved in volunteers as Women in Data, other initiatives that support people entering or growing in tech, especially women and developers from underrepresented communities. So what drives me mostly is using AI in practical ways, not just building models, but how to create tools and systems, and problem solving. How it can be used and maintained in real environments, particularly in places like, of course, where we came from, Africa, in this context, and and all the constraints that are to it. So in summary, my journey has been combining technical work with mentorship, community building, and also have I believe in real impact when happens when you grow technology and and people at the same time. So that's me.
Thank you, thank you. That was a very rich profile. And you mentioned the community part. I see you are very invested, heavily invested in community work. So, at what point did you actually realize that both of them matter? I know in terms of your technical work and the community work as well.
I realized early on that technical side, alone, that technical excellence alone was not enough for me to feel fulfilled. Like I love solving hard engineering problems because that's my background, electrical engineering, first, second, and third degree. So, but I also noticed that many people around me struggled. Also, I did at some time because they don't have access to guidance, mentorship, or just examples of what can be possible. So I, over time, I understood that this impact have to happen at two levels. You build strong systems. I also have to help people themselves. So that's when community became a way to multiply the value of my technical work, like by sharing knowledge, opening doors, creating spaces where others could grow.
I see, I see. So I know, yes, for the most part, some people have this stereotype that most women don't really want to pursue a career up to a point of having a PhD. They see it as overzealousness, if that's the correct word. So for you, why didn't you stop earlier? And not your PhD is not even in maybe in humanitarian services. It's in the core of engineering and sciences. Why did you stop earlier?
Um, my path into PhD was first driven by curiosity, more than it wasn't really a fixed career plan.
Okay.
I at the primary level, I enjoyed maths and also problem solving. So I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand how things work beneath the surface.
Mm,
So why I moved towards first degree electronics engineering, gave me that foundation. Then I needed to know how more. I needed to advance, especially in my master's second degree. I needed to know how systems behave, especially how signals. By that time, communication was coming into the world, like five mobile communications and all that. So I needed how to use this structure, logic, and to real world problems. I said, okay, let me do the masters. Then the PhD was came later because I realized that I needed more insight into data intelligence and how I could make these systems, more adaptive and more useful. It wasn't really like a straight career path.
I see, I see. And of course, one key point you mentioned is that what really drove your ambition towards that was curiosity and the ability or the drive to want to learn more, to want to know. So because of course when you see systems working, they are underlying sciences behind them that makes them work as they do right now, right? And so, and of course, from what I'm hearing is that your background in electrical communications engineering, right, actually influenced your work in AI and machine learning, because you were like, okay, you know what, there is definitely more to this thing. Let's get into it. So, for you, if you were to advise your younger self right now before a PhD program, right, what would it be? What will you still go for the same career path, or will you opt for something else?
Okay. Well, I love this question because I think about it a lot. Yes, I will still do the PhD, but I will do it more with more maybe clarity and less pressure on myself. Sort of.
Okay.
So coming from that's engineering, electrical and communication engineering. It gave me strong foundation. But when there's like signal processing, probability system thinking, optimization, these are bones of AI and machine learning. So when I started with systems like 5G, we're moving to 6G, I could see that the math underneath, there's math underneath everything. It's not just code. There is still background, because sometimes when people, after the bachelor's, they say most of the things they read in bachelor's are not useful. But by the time you start doing PhD, you see that most of these complex problems are just simple problems, structured together. So if I could advise my younger self, I'd say three things. One, be clear on what you're doing on time, not title, not validation, not just sounding impressive. Then secondly, build industry exposure earlier, like more intentional. Where I come from, we were not trained to do internship in schools, in bachelor's, in undergrad. We were just focused on academia. Yeah, academia teaches depth, but industry teaches constraints, problem solving, fast pace, learning the bridge. And then the third one is protect your confidence. That's what I would say. So PhD will stretch you intellectually and also emotionally. Like it's more or less like a PhD is more or less academic, more on let's say discomfort is part of growth. Like it will question whether you're good enough. And it stretches you very well. So these are I'll still say I'll still do electrical and communications engineering, because it gives me an edge now. Where in AI that how to understand the simple problems behind the complex ones.
Great. And of course, philosophically, it's always moving from the known to the unknown, right? And one other trend is that there are some individuals who do not have like a CS background, So in their own case, what do you think can give them an edge in today's AI? If, for example, some of them want to pursue a career in artificial intelligence or data science, machine learning, and the rest of them.
One thing with AI is that for example, developers or individuals coming from non-CS background, one thing you can bring is domain knowledge, because as whether it's engineering, biology, finance, healthcare, that understanding allows you to frame better questions, like design meaningful solutions. For example, AI needs people who understand problems deeply, not just the code. Because the background helps you to identify what truly matters in the system, what is important, rather than focusing on only the technical novelty. Let me put it that way. You will now be able to build solutions that are more grounded in reality, because you have that domain knowledge. Your perspective can reduce this bias, and also improve usability. Domain expert is very good, is very essential in AI. It makes AI very practical.
Correct. And of course, one thing that made AI to be able to scale so fast is because of the contributions of the domain expert individuals, who are contributing, putting out resources out there. And now that you have also spoken about AI, so I wanted to ask you, in terms of your experience, I know you had some experience working with Apple, with Intel. But were there anything that surprised you that were like, okay, of course, this is not textbook?
One of the surprises is because that's the first time I was exposed to building something at scale.
Right.
Is how a simple decision, it can affect millions of users. It's not about the model, it's not about the machine learning, whatever processes, In school, everything was clean data set, you define laws, you optimize, you report accuracy done, and but in industry, that's 20% of the job. First is how messy the data is in real system. Logs are incomplete, levels are noisy, systems change mid-cycle. A firmware update can shift like distribution overnight. You're constantly asking, is this model failing? Is the environment changing? you know. So I also learned the value of standards and processes in producing, you know, reliable systems. Is, you know, stick to that. Those companies hold it tight. Like, so the environment, you know, you think more on about long-term maintainability, you know, and how small design choices, very little design choices can have large consequences, you know, impact budgets, like something like latency limits, privacy rules could have, you know, have a very great effect on something you're working on. So you don't just do clean school process and that go about it. No, there's a lot of dependencies. Yes.
Of course, and yeah, there's no better way to say it, because when you are in that level of providing service or solution to millions of users, you have to be very careful. And one key point you mentioned is about data security, because of course, every time here and there's always a lawsuit here and there. You know, users filing lawsuits. Oh, why did you have access to this data? I did not give consent. You know, so it's very important to be meticulous about that. And so now that we're even talking about that career path for developers who are in, you know, maybe remote regions or other areas, some of them feel that they have to actually be, you know, at the center of technology. For example, they feel that they have to be in places like Silicon Valley before their impact will be felt. You know, so for people in those kind of category, you know, that are outside of the major tech hubs, there are some people who also feel that they have to be in Lagos or in Nairobi, they're in Africa, you know, they have to be in some major cities for their work, you know, for them to be able to have that level of work. So for you, what would you advise for someone that is aiming, you know, to make impact in technology? What can prepare them for that level of work?
If you're outside major tech hubs, like just as you said, maybe when you're building system, let's say, for example, build strong fundamentals. Like if you're working on real projects and, you know, you have to stay connected to the global community online, you know, and location matters anyway, but consistency and visibility does too. You know, like remote collaboration tools have changed access to many things now, to opportunities. So these developers can learn from open source communities. They have to at least communicate, be able to use these new communication tools, and, you know, source communities, online research papers. For me, I feel what matters most is discipline and in continuous learning, because you can, from wherever you are, the global space is now made smaller. The ecosystem is now made smaller because of connectivity, and it's more open than ever. You know, not then that we don't have internet and all that. You know, so they have to just be able to collaborate, do a lot of collaboration, and make sure that at least they are part of most global communities.
Yeah, and I hear you a lot. You are heavily on community. You are very heavy on community. So why is it important to you to get involved as a woman, as you know, with the women in data? Because just like I said, sometimes, you know, there's this underrepresentation of a particular group in terms of, you know, pushing technology. But you are working, you know, you are involved in the community work. So why is it important for you to get involved?
Because I feel representation and support matter. Like why I joined most communities is that, you know, I see community helps replace fear with confidence, sort of. It provides, like, it helps you to engage, especially during difficult moments, you know, being part of growth, of a community growth, being part of women where spaces where they create, you know, women, let's say, for example, women could learn, you share experiences, you see role models, people that pass through the same difficult terrains like you know, you see, for example, talented women who doubted their places in technical fields before. So support matters. So by the time you're in this space, it gives you that confidence, like, oh, if this person can do this, I can do it. If I can be part of that, you know, you see women building, publishing, leading, failing, succeeding. So it helps normalize ambition and also, as I mentioned before, it reduces fear, reminds you that you're not alone. So that's why, apart from me gaining, I also use it to help, you know, create spaces for women too. I like serving. I like mentorship. Like I like when I help someone, it builds me and it satisfies me, give me that satisfaction in life too.
Great. And I hope the women that are going to watch this will be glad that we brought a woman to the chat to talk about it. And one important thing that I've heard you said consistently is confidence. right? And of course, to be able to be a coordinator, it requires confidence, because definitely sometimes you among those people you are leading, definitely there are some people that are maybe ahead, or in their way ahead in their career. Some of them have done, just like you said, published papers. Some of them have patents for different tools that have been, they have created. So it really requires a lot of confidence, to be able to lead in that category, especially as a coordinator, communications coordinator. That's very important, and I'm feeling the confidence actually.
It wasn't like this before.
Yes, that's what one of the benefits of being part of a community. Comes with confidence, and also, and from your experience, leading as the communication coordinator and among this community, what would you say is some of the things, some of the challenges that that women need? I know you mentioned something about some of them not having access, but there are some other kind of supports that I think maybe women will need, especially in the technical fields like yourself. What are those, what are those needs they need mostly, beyond technical training? Yes, because if you say technical training, I mean, there are a lot of resources that is open to everyone. It's not specific to a particular agenda, right? But for women in technical fields, what kind of support do you think it's important for them to have?
Okay. Beyond just technical training, women need mentorship, visibility, and also let me use the blanket word, psychological safety. So they need to know their voice matters and that they belong in technical spaces. Women, so support systems like this help them navigate, let's say, challenges that are not purely technical, like having role models where changes what feels possible. Encouragement and sponsorship also matters we all know, for career progression. So, and these factors are just as critical as skills, and let's say, for example, in terms of sponsorship, not just mentorship. Mentors give advice, sponsors advocate for you in rooms where you are not in. So they recommend you for maybe speaking roles, leadership positions, like assignments. So many women have mentors, but I also feel that they need sponsors too. The difference changes careers a lot. So under psychological safety, I mentioned is women we know are mostly second guessed more, and they feel the pressure to over prepare, like that confidence transfer in boardrooms and research labs, and so a community helps to, like, it's like a safe space to test that idea, to test that your basic question and experiment on it. So that's it. But another thing is we need is negotiation and leadership skill development as women, beyond technical skill, like not just how to code better, how to negotiate, push on, or on unrealistic timelines, like how to manage teams, how to influence decisions. These skills are they're rarely taught formally, but they're also essential for advancement. So there's a lot, but I feel these are the main ones. Yeah.
Great. And in fact, one of them that's really stuck with me is that mentors, or like mentors, like a form of support to women, is very good, because it helps them, they speak to on their behalf in meetings where they are not there, right? Because I know I've seen some people got some form of engagement or some offers that they didn't even know about, but somebody who was like a support to them, spoke really well about them at a particular event or a particular meeting, and that was it. That was what they needed to get to the next place, and that's kind of making very interesting. And then you also said something about negotiations, management, and the rest of them. So for you, what does leadership look like, as a highly technical person? Because most people, there's this bridge they are unable to move from. They are very technical right there, but when it comes to leadership, it's a different thing entirely.
Yeah. So the example you gave is very powerful. Like, well, the moment when someone speaks your name in a room, you're not in. That's real leadership in action. So leadership for me is creating clarity, empowering others, and let's say making thoughtful decisions. It's not just about authority. It's not about dashing rules and regulations. It's also about responsibility. Like it means I'm guiding this team through this uncertainty, especially when it's a technical issue, like technical problem. And it also means most especially listening carefully, because that's where you derail, and valuing also valuing diverse ideas. It's sometimes difficult to value those and, be able to keep that in view with both the vision and the service of the company, of whichever team you're leading. So I feel the goal is to help others succeed. That's leadership. That's the summary of leadership. For me, as a highly technical person, it's not only about system thinking is like a calm execution, judging ethically and empowering others. When those are present, titles, are just secondary.
Great. And in fact, the word you mentioned is the exact word that's make me feel like, oh, this is a real leader I'm talking to, because leaders are compassionate, right? They, like you mentioned, let them know that I'm here for the team, not just setting rules and regulations, and then just making it's not a military. Even in the military, there's leadership as well, but a very compassionate and empathic leader is always carrying the people along, following up, and ensuring that, oh, we are together, we are doing this together, and that's kind of making very interesting to know. So in terms of developers, I know for you working with for you to have had the opportunity to work with Intel, especially being in the United States, right? For African developers, some of them, like we discussed earlier in terms of tools, but right now we're talking about the global tech ecosystem, right? And what are the 3 habits that you would say should they prefer those habits or skills over the location, or what should it be in terms of visibility? Because of course you mentioned that location is very important. I still remember that you mentioned that earlier. So if location is important, should they choose a particular skill over location, or should they make location the priority in terms of gaining visibility and credibility anywhere in the world?
Okay, if you say 3 skills or habits, I would mostly say consistency, communications, and curiosity. Yes. Consistency is like build where you are, build that mastery over time. Start from where you are, share your work, engage online. As I also keep saying, the ecosystem is now global, and if you choose to participate, so distance no longer limits contribution. It does at some level, but we could see how someone let me use unconventional way, like social media, TikTok, Facebook, how someone could from Nigeria get an influence in the world, like just in a small village. I was watching one just now. So he was consistent, showing up. He as a barber, consistent showing up, cooking unconventional food, showing up, posting it online. So and he was able to be noticed by one of our celebrities, and he cooked for him. So distance no longer limits contribution. Just your ideas and the projects can reach anyone through this digital platform. So community quite all right is built through consistency and openness. You belong in the global conversation. Keep your curiosity alive. Together I feel this outweigh geography. The habit shapes long-term success. Is better. That's the three key skills I'll say that are habits that matter more than location.
This is very interesting actually, because especially since we started this series, one keyword that I keep hearing from all our guests has been consistency, and you just nailed it with the examples that you gave actually, and that's very important to be able to gain that visibility and credibility anywhere in the world. They can actually contribute to it. It's no longer tied to a particular region or a particular location, like you mentioned. So now we are in the age where AI is the main thing everywhere. Everyone wants to talk about it. So for you, who in terms of your experience, also doing your PhD as well, what do you think AI engineers should care more about right now? Because I know for the most part, recently what you see most people do with AI is just create caricature images, or just use AI to draft email. But outside of that, a very large population of people still don't know that there is more to this thing called AI. But of course, for AI engineers, they know more about that. But what do you think that they should care more about right now? Should it be more of? I know we have gone past the age of training. Most people are putting the energy there right now. But in your own experience, what would you say AI engineers should care more about?
Domain depth, real world impact, like fairness, like making reliable. The hype is real. It's almost everywhere. So AI engineers should not just chase performance metrics. System must work under real conditions, not just ideal data sets and all that. And that there should be ethical consequences. Must be considered early. Engineers should think more about who benefits and what they might harm, because that's the danger we're seeing now. A lot is coming out. Your responsibility should match the innovation. The strongest AI engineers I meet and talk to, they are not generalists. They don't just chase every new model release. You become excellent in your domain. You deeply understand the field. You design, smarter constraints and more practical systems. Like and that's it, And personally, someone coming from my own research, which is AI-driven network optimization, I will add one more is we care about efficiency, not just accuracy also, but compute efficiency, energy efficiency, especially as now AI is scaling globally, so we have to think about sustainability and edge deployment. It's going to matter more because as it's has enlarging everywhere, it's now easily accessible, So, but right now, many people are still focused on what models can do, and the engineers who lead the next phase are those who focus on, apart from what models should do, how they behave under stress and how they should be integrated into these systems responsibly. This hype fades. So infrastructure and trust has to remain, So that's the and another point is security and privacy. So there should be increasing regulation and user awareness. AI engineers has to build it with strong access control, minimum data exposure, and understand the risks, like maybe be able to understand the AI principles on time. Trust has to become, let's say, trust has to be, now that it's almost everywhere, it's like a competitive edge.
Yes.
Because we are too exposed to AI now. Let me use that word. Yeah.
In fact, you have answered it so brilliantly that my following questions have been covered. Have been covered, and it's so interesting because just like you mentioned, especially in the area of data-driven system, which is your own area of specialization, it's important that AI engineers to also have in that domain, And you mentioned a very interesting point as well, not just chasing every new release or every new model, but these releases that are coming out, are they actually meeting the benchmark, right? Are they efficient enough? Not just in terms of it's very fast. Are they very efficient? Do we have confidence and trust? Because obviously that's the next point we would move into, because of course we have moved away from the other ones. Now we're moving more domain specific, more context inclined development, across that. That is very meaningful. I know we can go on and on with these conversations, but I'm very glad that we are having this conversation, and it will also benefit those who would also participate in the conversation as well. So for people who want to reach you, is there a way they can reach you?
Through my LinkedIn, send a message. I think my contact email info is on my LinkedIn too.
Yes. Okay. Great. So. Yeah, thank you, Ndidi. So finally, any last words for our audience?
What last word? My last word, will I say, is we all belong here, and don't be afraid your background is not a limitation, and we all have diverse perspective, and it matters. It is needed. Your journey is valid. It might be shorter, it might be longer, but it's valid, and your ideas matter, because sometimes we self hate ourselves or self-judge ourselves. So the world benefits from our voice, and you shouldn't wait for permission to grow. You shouldn't wait for permission to evolve. So in summary, build consistently, stay curious, and protect your integrity. Yes, like also, as I kept saying, seek community, and when you grow, bring someone else with you, bring someone else with you. So that's my last one.
Awesomeness. Thank you so much. This has been a very interesting series, talking to you on this, and we look forward to having more of you on this session.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.